I want to thank everybody for being here today. My name is Nick Faust. I am the communications specialist for the city of Janesville. I want to thank Janice for asking me to be a part of today's session on what makes a social media post go viral, and a little more broadly, how to build a good social media strategy and infrastructure so that you're reaching people consistently in your communities and engaging with them in a meaningful way. Quick background, I won't talk about Janesville too much, but we are just south of here down the interstate. We're the county seat of Rock. We have about 66,000 residents in 26,000 households. We're a full-service municipality, meaning that statutorily, if it's a service a city can provide, we pretty much provide it. We're known as Wisconsin's Park Place. It's a point of pride for us. Out of our peer communities, we have the most parks per capita, 64 improved parks, and over 2,600 acres of green space in a system. A lot of people might know of Janesville because it's the place GM was. We're a manufacturing community. We've been diversifying in that economic sector. And also, as the county seat of Rock, we have a lot of healthcare, a lot of commerce. It's a hub. A lot of folks know of Janesville because they stop in Janesville to or fro, whether they're going up north or down south. Real quickly, where social media sort of fits into our equation as a local government, and I think maybe as a part of maybe a media center's focus. The city has a wide strategic communications plan. We try to cover every aspect and angle. We're a diverse community, and we have a lot of folks who have different preferences when it comes to contact and communication. So we have traditional in-person engagements. We focus a lot on internal communication, how we're talking to our staff. We take out typical print media advertising. We advertise on our radio. Believe it or not, Janesville still has a private functioning talk radio station in 2023. And we also make use of JTV, our fine in-house media center, when it comes to producing our own content. But I would say, and I don't think anybody at the city would disagree, our virtual space is sort of the new town square when it comes to dialogue and engagement. We've seen traffic increase on our website year over year, and we've seen social media growth to a point where it's really becoming an emphasis of us moving forward, and where we spend things like intern hours are really being funneled into the social media space. Why I think that is, why that's important as a local government or as a community center is it's effective. Whether it's a good thing or a bad thing, Statista found that 123 minutes is the average time somebody's going to spend on a social media site in America, whether that's YouTube, Facebook, TikTok if you're younger, Instagram. It's the space where people congregate now. For good and for bad, it's also where we get our news. 62% of U.S. adults list it as maybe their primary source of not going to, but just where they ambiently interact with news. It's in a virtual social media space. Again, that can be for the good and that can be for the bad, but for the power of information control when it comes to as local governments and our community partners, when it comes to controlling narratives and purveying real, accurate information, social media is the space where you can go wrong, and it's the space where you can get it right. It's also efficient. I really like to highlight that last year, the city of Janesville reached over 317,000 individual Facebook accounts just on our Facebook platform, and that's our primary page. We did that with about $54 of targeted ad buys. That's an incredible sort of efficiency that you're not going to get anywhere else in terms of advertising. That means 99.99% of our interactions, our impressions are free in the sense that we're not paying for them. So it by far and away is the most efficient way to reach folks in your community still. I wanted to focus, and it wouldn't be a conference post-2020 if I didn't say COVID at least twice, but a case study for the importance, I think, in our local communities of not only social media, but how it interacts with community media is those are two pieces of the puzzle that proved invaluable. when everything's shut down, and I think this is probably your experience if you work in, adjacent to, or for a municipality, we turned to community media to maintain access to things like public meetings, to maintain connections. That was vital, and without that, we would have been in a far worse place when it came to our community maintaining function and our city maintaining operations. In Janesville, we did daily COVID briefings courtesy of, again, JATV Media Services, who worked with city staff to provide an avenue and a space where we could live stream out on social media, where we could, of course, go live on their channel, their PEG channel. But it proved to build and foster community connection. I haven't been able to find a lot of evidence-based results in the States, but globally, a lot of research has been done, particularly in China and Europe, on the efficacy of social media information dissemination at the local level. So local governments were able to, in those communities, increase compliance and prevention knowledge. Because if you think about it, and you probably see this in the community media space, folks in your town trust you because you are a face. You exist on a local level. And so if we can purvey quality information to people through means like social media, it's far easier to cut through the noise, I think, when it comes to misinformation or all the things that can come on the negative end of something like Twitter or Facebook. So to orient me today when we talk about what goes viral, I kind of wanted to break the discussion into 5 areas because I kind of see it as a multi-pronged approach. You need to build every aspect of your social media strategy to produce content that has wide reach. First and foremost, that starts with teams. Social media management, I like to say, is a team sport. I think in the late aughts, when governments at least came onto social media, mainly Facebook, they liked to stick it to one person and said, that's the social media person, you're going to be handling this. That's, I think, as creative professionals, you can all appreciate that's not a great way to approach content or production. Siloing never really fosters creativity or progress when it comes to creating engaging content. So I always encourage, whether it's a municipality or even a smaller community media center, to really diversify your content team. And that can sound scary. You know, it can be hard to give the keys to the official, city Twitter or something to perhaps an intern or in community media, a volunteer. But it really isn't that difficult anymore. I like to focus on a tool that we use, which is a mission statement and policy in Janesville. And I can certainly make that available to anybody. But it's just a quick and easy way to not only orient your strategy as an organization when it comes to social media, but lay the groundwork for what's acceptable, brand standards, things that can make sure that you're still speaking in a unified voice, but your content is not coming from one person who's doing the same thing over and over again. So I certainly encourage folks to take an interdepartmental approach and consider the use for smaller local governments or community media centers. Consider volunteers and interns if you haven't. I'll be the first to admit I don't totally understand TikTok. It's not really a space that I feel super comfortable creating content in, but if you have an intern in your organization, and that's where I've seen success at the local government level, is empowering those people to try something new and enter a new platform is incredibly worthwhile. And again, as long as you have those organizational controls in place when it comes to mission and policy, it's something that I think any organization can do. So second, I like to tell people that you need to know your audience. You need to read the room. When it comes to social media, you got to understand what user groups are what, where, because authenticity matters, and you need to approach people with what they're comfortable, with what they desire and what they want to engage in on the platform that they want to engage in. A lot of folks don't realize it, but this is built into pretty much every social media platform, and that's analytics. They want to encourage you to reach the audience that you should be reaching because it incentivizes people to maintain the use of their app. So something like Facebook has a very easy platform analytic capability. It's Meta Business Suite. You can also use it for Instagram. And it can give you some really great demographic information to understand what you're hitting when it comes to posts, understand maybe areas of improvement, so what segments you're missing. Certainly, if you're a Facebook user in 2023 or you're pushing out content there, you're going to skew older when it comes to demographics, right? Younger folks tend to gravitate towards visual mediums, Instagram, or something like TikTok. But it's incredibly important from the outset to know where your folks are and what platform they're using. I also like to encourage people to engage at all things. I think, again, from a local government perspective, we had approached social media in a way that was far less engaging, far more just informational, PSA. It was just a way to disseminate information, which it is. However, if I have a post that highlights a road closure, I need folks to follow my page first. So spending time on more engaging content. I know making memes isn't also something that everybody feels super comfortable doing, but taking risks in that space and then drawing folks to your page will only pay dividends when it comes to actually pushing out the more dry information that you want to get out on your channel. I also like to encourage folks, again, to go back to the platform's tools. So Facebook, for example, has a great dashboard that'll help you manage things like comments, messages, likes, and then they'll also do something where they'll compile like invite lists. So the platforms themselves will say, here's 100 people who have liked a post of yours. They don't follow your page. You can send out mass invites then from that tool and encourage those folks to follow your page and drive your numbers up that way. And I think that's certainly not done enough. I don't even think I really do that enough when it comes to knowing my audience. But it's important because at the end of the day, the users are what make your viral posts. I can post something that I think is really great, but if I'm not getting like and share numbers that I need to, it's not going to reach outside of my following, right? The city of Janesville has a little over 11,000 followers on Facebook, which is great. But when we're talking about going viral, we want to hit audiences outside of those people. And we're talking about, when we want to disseminate community information, I want to hit folks outside of those 11,000 people who've already taken the time to follow the city page. So at the end of the day, it's going to come down to getting likes and shares from folks that originally follow your page, so you can extend out into networks beyond them. I love to tell folks to play around with user-generated content, which is basically inviting your following to produce stuff for you. I think as community media partners, you can all appreciate the power of volunteers who spread your message and look to do their own thing. So I think the biggest sort of success story in terms of user-generated content, and I might be dating myself a bit, is the Ice Bucket Challenge, if people remember that from the ALS folks. That really was just a campaign that they launched that took off. And so then who does the groundwork? Well, it was everybody who was dumping ice buckets on their head. And it's spreading their message. They don't have to do anything, but it shows the power of call to action and user-generated content. My next sort of area of focus would be channels. Again, communities are multi-generational. Different apps are going to hit different demographic bases. That's a fact. If you know your audience from the slide before, you can understand this better. Content's reach will also vary by platform. So I put up, and this is a bit small, but I put up sort of a post we had done that was pretty widely successful on Facebook, not so much on Twitter. Why was that? That was because this content was built for a sort of more long-form emotional engagement, something that on a platform like Facebook is going to be a lot easier to do than Instagram or certainly Twitter, where if I wanted to put that on Twitter, I'd have to probably thread about 10 tweets into something, and then that's not going to reach on that platform, but it's going to do incredibly popular on something like Facebook. So you got to really understand that the content you're creating, while you can push it in all places. It has to be tweaked to your specific lane. My best practice is just to diversify. Again, don't be afraid to try new channels. There are a lot of tools out there on platforms like Meta, where you can, of course, schedule posts for Facebook and Instagram, but also free tools, Hootsuite, Buffer. Those will allow you to take a piece of content and easily sort of push it out across a bunch of different channels. So it becomes much less intensive than individually going onto 4 or 5 social media spaces and trying to upload content in a more bespoke, individual fashion. Next, I kind of have 2 slides here to discuss really the name of the game, the product, which is content. Again, in 2023, visuals are the key. It's always going to be images over text. As you could see from the post before, I love to wax pretty poetically when it comes to text and painting these stories, but visuals at the end of the day are what's going to get people scrolling to stop and to look at something. So you always want to make sure that's the first box you're checking. I also think as community media folks, you understand the power of real imagery as opposed to stock. When I give this presentation to more local government folks, we don't always really think about taking a picture of what we're doing, which can be kind of an afterthought. But if you build a photo stock base of real imagery from your community, and you folks are experts at making your own content, that's going to always outperform, and that's study after study stock imagery. So I would encourage you to focus on that. Branding, I think of this more in just a way where if I'm pushing out information, I want people to know who it's from. I want them to easily see it and stop and interact with it and know that it's authentic and it's from their local government. So I would always encourage you to create an identity pretty early on when it comes to your visuals. Utilize any logos or marks that you have. That can be done super easily, again, on a free basis with tools. Canva, Adobe Express is sort of Adobe's response to Canva. But you can actually save sort of logos and marks and branding guides, colors, pretty easily on those platforms. And then when you are creating content, quickly sort of pop in, perhaps in our case, a little tree that lets folks know that what they're interacting with is from the city and worth their time, hopefully. And I know I said kind of counterintuitively that images are in, text are out, but you're still going to want to sort of focus on storytelling. Again, you folks know the importance of storytelling. But when it comes to something like local government, which can be so amorphous, be so sort of faceless, personify your organization. That's what social media really allows us to do. Creativity is rewarded in this space. It's not your traditional press release, right? If I'm thinking from a government perspective where you're gonna go line by line, dry, cut, and you're not gonna get any sort of creativity in it. You can really find a voice and succeed in that space. I would recommend using tools like Grammarly, which has a free version as well, or Microsoft Office, which is trying to incorporate, I think, some of the Grammarly things, but you can kind of set style goals and objectives when it comes to writing actual text, and that makes it easier, again, if you have a wider, diversified team, to keep your message unified, and to also catch spelling errors, because I have caught lots of syntax issues when it comes to working on Grammarly, and that saves me and by extension the city lots of embarrassment when it comes to social media. The second part of the process, quality versus quantity. So users and social media algorithms always reward quality. First users reward it, and then the algorithm picks up on it. But you want to just focus on creating content that's good and engaging, and you want to have consistency. I see this as an issue with some folks where they maybe get gung-ho on a certain day and then they leave a platform sit for a little while. You really have to maintain a focus on consistently putting out content. Again, that's rewarded by social media algorithms, and so I think you got to set your own what are called cadence recommendations, and you got to stick to them. can't see it here, and this will vary from organization to organization depending on how much you want to use social media. But for the city, we like to stick to one. So every day we'll post once or twice to Instagram. That's a good metric to follow. For every 1 or 2 posts to Instagram, you want to be doing 4 or 5 on Facebook and Twitter. Those platforms cycle through content a little quicker. And then on LinkedIn, you really don't have to do much. That's the power of LinkedIn. I really like it for job spaces and stuff, but people aren't going on LinkedIn 20, 25 times a day. So it's a great space to recruit in, and it doesn't require, in terms of cadence recommendations, a lot of time spent. But make sure you're setting sort of goals when it comes to pushing out content and you're sticking to it. I also encourage folks, again, to make use of platform management tools when it comes to right place, right time, as I call it. The time you post matters. It just does. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, they're all going to tell you on their analytics site when your followers are most engaged. And you're always going to want to go back to that platform and schedule out posts depending on what, and again, you can't really see it, but what Facebook is telling me will be 2 or 3 really active times coming up in the next day. Again, those social media sites want you to succeed because it's a mutually beneficial relationship. So they're going to consistently update those scheduled post times and let you know when you should be pushing out your content. And that's, again, the ease of the scheduler tools really makes that possible. And finally, I think in any sort of effort when it comes to communications, not just the social media space, but you're going to want to make use of partnerships at all times. Coordination amplifies reach. So I give an example of, again, courtesy of JTV, the community access show we host for the city, which is Park Place Views. If I have, the library director on, and I'm issuing a press release and doing social media from our city pages, I'm reaching out to the library's account, I'm reaching out to the Friends of the Library's account, any other pages that are related. I'm tagging them in the posts and encouraging all of us to sort of amplify our message together. So coordination is always going to come in key. Again, not to beat the fact that you folks can probably appreciate that being in the field that you are all in. And then last but not least, make use of your resources. I like to say that government is great because you never have to recreate the wheel, right? It's not like the private sector where a lot of things are proprietary. Your peers are going to be producing content, and you're really going to want to go back, follow them, engage with them, and audit what they do. And audit sounds formal. It doesn't have to be, but just take some time to go to a fellow media center's page, one that's particularly high performing, and take notes of the strategy they use, the times they post, the things they post about. When it comes to new spaces like Reels, I don't know if anybody makes use of Facebook or Instagram Reels, which are they're Meta's response to TikTok being so popular. But I didn't really know how to work in that space. But thanks to auditing sort of peer municipality pages, I'm starting to get an idea of what sort of content works there. Search for the latest trends. People in Silicon Valley will call that social listening. That, again, is just stalking other people's stuff, but doing it with a bit of strategy. So Facebook, or Meta, I should say, will give you a trending pages tool, again, in the business suite that'll pull up things that are popular if it comes to, again, memes or popular hashtags, trends. Those will appear first on those trending page sort of tools, and they'll let you know what could come. There are some trade sites where you can pay money. They have free versions, but more so premium. That'll actually do some of that social listening for you. They'll kind of tell you what's coming down the pike. Not really important, I don't think, for an organization like us or a smaller one, but it's certainly something to be cognizant of. And then just to really drive it home one last time, you really have to try new things. Creativity is seeing what others are thinking, or seeing what others are doing and doing something that they haven't thought of yet. So you really have to pick up on trends, and you really have to not be afraid to try new things. The best part about social media, unless you do it really, really badly, like, you really have a botch, you can try something out, post something, and it's going to be out of the public conscious, in a day or two. If it doesn't work, and that's fine. And if it does go viral, if it does magnify your reach, you're going to reap benefits far beyond that 1 or 2 day time frame. So don't be afraid to try new things. Don't be afraid to empower your teams to break into social media spaces and treat it much like a studio, as you folks do in your actual studio. So I want to thank you for your time. Again, if anybody needs any of the resources I discussed, mainly our social media mission statement or policy, you can certainly reach out to me. I'd be happy to provide that. And then I also didn't do a great job of pausing for questions during the presentation, but if anybody does have any of those real brief ones, I'll answer them.
Can you talk about the interactions that you do? So if you do set up a post that you're expecting, you want people to communicate back with you on, like, how many times you're going to interact with that?
Yeah, so it's interesting, right? Because it's a blessing and a curse when it comes to interaction, because I want feedback, but you also have to understand, especially in local government, that I would probably say about half of the feedback I'm going to get is negative Nancy's kind of looking for stuff to hit me on, and it's not going to be real meaningful engagement. That's fine. I really encourage folks to tune out the noise when it comes to social media, because for every negative comment you get, you're going to get one that's meaningful and really important to interact with. So I try to look for, if it's really popular, I try to look for questions to engage on, because that's another thing. You can really burn out staff if you're asking them to respond to every single question. So I think it's very important from the outset to set a message and set a response, and then sort of group those, so you're in essence repeating yourself, but you're not coming up with new things every time. Again, Facebook is going to be those platforms will give you tools to manage that. They'll give you tools to remind you, say if like a message has been lingering. Again, Facebook wants you to be on Facebook, so they're going to send you as an admin plenty of notifications reminding you that you have some engagements to make. But really, it depends on what level of interaction you want to have. I would also encourage folks to not have long dialogues in comment sections or spaces. That's not going to be rewarded by the algorithm. Encourage folks to reach out to you in a different space, message your page, message an email, call you. There you can have more meaningful full dialogue. It's a transition there. Yeah.
With all these different social media platforms that you're using, how do you handle social media archiving for the company?
That's a super, super good question, and I should have definitely included that. We use Archive Social, which is a third party, which many of you folks are familiar with, but they actually archive. So in the world of public records, right, any comment, any message, any like that someone makes is technically a public record now, so you do have to store all of it. And it comes in handy because if folks delete things, they will always be archived on a third-party platform. So we use Archive Social. It's relatively inexpensive. We're able to, I think it's, for a city, it's $3,000 to $4,000 a year, but we have, JTV, our media partner, their Facebook page is backed up on our account. So I'd also encourage you, maybe if you folks are working with municipalities, to really use an economy of scale there and reach out to see if because they're probably already backing their stuff up. And it's pennies on the dollar when it comes to adding in a community media center on that Archive Social. Well, wonderful. With that, I think I will turn it over to Janice.
Oh, your thumb drive. Can I just, you want me to do that?
Reject it.
Oh, okay. I know.
I'll say that now and it'll corrupt everything.
Yeah. Mine's quick. Mine is quick, and a lot of the stuff is similar what Nick has said. So we'll be in and out of here in a few minutes and get ready for lunch. Nope. How do you guys make it big?
Push FN and F5.
FN and F5. Okay, thank you. Okay, social media from a producer perspective. My name is Janice Newman, okay? And you guys know who I am from, oh, I'm too short, okay. And I put on pumps. I put on pumps and I'm still too short. Okay, I am from an independent producer's point of view, okay? But I still give information that can help you guys too. So we don't need to see me. Okay. The main social media places that you should have your items at, okay? Obviously, there's Facebook, YouTube. You guys already have your Roku, those other channels, but for social media, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, and LinkedIn, okay? Those are the main ones. You should be on all of them. And I know you guys don't have a lot of time. Okay. Key points. Know your audience, just like Nick said. Know the room, know your audience. If most of your people or your viewers are, you should know them either doing surveys or something that they know and you know exactly who they are. Are they seniors? Are they kids? Are they just people that go on for your sports? And that's how you're going to gear your messages. If you know most of the people are seniors that are watching, then you're going to have senior topics that might be on there. If they're sports, you got to bring in something to bring the young people in. Pick appropriate topics. Okay, with that, also pay attention to what's going on in social media and the news today. If it's Breast Cancer Month, make sure you do a couple posts that's focusing on that also, okay? Pay attention to what's the theme of the month, even the theme of the day. You know, I see in the newspaper from time to time, I also write for a small newspaper, Donut Day, National Grilled Cheese Day. It was actually last week, I think, April 12th, you know? Do a cute post if you have time that might relate to a restaurant, because I know some of you guys would go and interview restaurants. If one of your restaurants does something with grilled cheese or a good grilled hamburger or something, put that on your post. Check this out, National Grilled Cheese Day, so-and-so who also is in our town does great hamburgers, something like that, cheeseburgers. Share worthy content, okay? Good quality, make sure, and everyone here has great, I mean, everything I've seen and looked at all your websites, great content. Make sure it's good quality, it's timely, focus on what is actually going out there, what is people are in the news about, even focus on things with, even that might be going on with the regular news for the day. Make sure it's engaging. Sometimes with my website, I'll put a question out there. I won't even do like a clip. I'll put a question to try to get comments and feedbacks back. Or even for like Christmas, I put a post with me, my husband, and the Grinch, Merry Christmas from our family, why not show to your family? And I got lots of actual feedback. And I didn't have to even, it got shared so many times that I got people, hits, likes, impressions. And I didn't have to pay Facebook for it. Connect emotionally. People want to feel emotions, we do. And that's where you have to hit them at home. Emotions are what drives people to go to a website, go to a store, to buy something they absolutely don't need. It's that emotion. You need that vacuum cleaner that can also just sit there in the corner and hold your clothes on. You need it, okay? You need to have that emotional connection somehow. Emotional connection to a restaurant owner that's been in the town for 80 years, the family's been running it, that emotional connection, family. Build that, play on that. That's what people like. Hashtag, use appropriate hashtags. And I'm gonna show you a list of hashtags and where you can find them at. Hashtags is even as simple as viral, posts, news, like, love. Those are actually some of the simplest ones, hashtagging, that people actually look for. Because you want to get people not only in your town, but you want to get people outside of your town. Okay? We want to build up the following of other people because you're not just in your town. You have the Roku channels, you have the Apple channels, your other places of streaming. So it's not just focusing on your town. So use appropriate hashtags so you can get other people outside of your town. And brand hashtags if you can. Mine, why not? I use that for everything. If I'm writing, everything I write in a newspaper, it ends with a statement, then why not? Everything I do, I end it in that, and I keep that as my main brand. If you can brand your station, JATV, brand it. Keep it short, 1 to 4 minutes. If you're gonna do a clip, people have short attention spans. I know I do. Keep it short, don't do it long. I also do coaching. I told one person to do a short clip of your book, 44 minutes. It was 44 minutes. Okay, top social media viral messages. They want them to be funny. And I know we're PEG, the public education government, so we can't always have the mayor looking all goofy. We're not talking about that, but they still want to see the funny message. If we're out there in the community, someone does something funny or cute, or we have the kids at the high school doing something, people like that. They want funny, they want cute, they want things that are happy and upbringing, lively. They want to see educational. If you have a post and say it's, I won't say Social Security month, but AARP month or something like that. Do some type of little brief thing on, hey, maybe you need to check your life insurance. Do a small PSA, and you don't have to do a whole big video, just sitting at your desk, or find someone at a nursing home facility, one of the facility reps, and say, hey, blah, 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 you should actually think about having your finances your retirement plan looked up. It's ARP month or aging month, something like that, okay? Inspirational, everyone loves inspirational. Even if you're top of your game, even famous rich people still have coaches. People need inspiration. What's gonna get me out of bed in the morning? That's what they wanna hear, something inspirational. So if you're gonna do a feature on, say, someone that's a restaurant owner, or someone who's been at your community center and they're gonna retire, or they've been there for 20 years, interview them real quick. Doesn't have to be long, 2 minutes, and say, hey, what gets you on your drive to come actually engage yourself in our community? Why are you here? Really brief. And when you're also doing that interview, what I'm going to talk about, Snapchat. I'm not really a fan of Snapchat because it's like, wow, it's gone in a minute. But when you're doing an interview, there's no reason you can't take out your phone for 1 minute. What is it, 25 seconds on Snapchat? We're here at such and such hotel or restaurant. We're going to be here filming with this new restaurant owner. Check it out. That's it. And it's gone. We can grab out our phone just to see what time it is. We can do a 25-second push the button Snapchat, send it to everyone, okay? Cooperate with others. Parks and Recs, everyone. Everyone should have that. They are following you on their page and you're following them. On my YouTube page, I have every station that I possibly have that I'm in 10 different states, probably about 15 or 16 stations. I have their logos. I'm following their YouTube pages, and I have it on my YouTube page. Those are the people I'm following. Sponsor them. If I have a show that I have a time to put it in, I will put it in. Don't forget, we're also on Cam Erie TV. Make sure you follow them too, okay? Make sure they're following you, you're following them. Run a contest or a giveaway. That's a possibility. I give away mugs, with our name on it, t-shirts. Teresa's wearing a t-shirt. We have those. Give away a t-shirt. We're trying to get the next 200 likes, whatever, and then we're going to take a raffle of those or give away a shirt, something like that, okay? Post consistently, and I'm going to have a list on how you should post. Feed your followers. That's why you're posting. You're feeding them. They are hungry for information, and your job is to feed them. Just like you're feeding that television feed, you have to feed them. Feed them socially any way you can get them. Because when you have somebody, typically, they will become loyal to you. And you want loyal followers, not one-time people. I like that post, great. You want them to keep coming back for more. And that keeps us working. Provide new content to gain followers. Always keep up with the trends. They need to know what the trends are. That's what people are looking for. You hashtag trend. People just hashtag looking for these words. So if you come up with some or you find a new trend you're going to do a video on, make sure you put hashtag trend. So if someone's just looking for the latest trend, they may find it on there, okay? Make sure you put those hashtags to go correlate with what the content is. But For you to get new followers, you have to keep up whatever the trends are to get their attention, because that's what people are looking for that day. Post on all social media streams. I know that's hard to do. I suggest, just like Nick said, get like a scheduler and just one day a week, pencil out the best day that you know that no one's going to be bothering you at. If it is Thursday between 3 and 5, sit there 3 and 5, or volunteer, find a high school program that can help, and you just sit there and you schedule all those posts for the following week. Right then and there. This way you're out of the way. The only thing you will not be able to schedule are the Snapchat, but it's really just hold up your phone real quick when you're on the scene, or you're just walking into the studio. Yep, today we're in the studio getting set up for so-and-so on Friday night. Hope you guys watch this on your channel. Okay. Now this is what I found on Sprout Social. Nick posted this too. Sprout Social, check that out. They have some great advice on there. But Facebook, now they put Monday through Friday at 3 a.m. Facebook, it stays on there a while. You can actually put it in your feed that stays for 24 hours. So that way you can get the people when they get up at 4, when they get up at 6, when they're at lunchtime, it's up there for 24 hours anyway. So schedule it early in the morning, so this way you don't know when those people are going to get up, but whenever they get up and do check their posts, like Nick said, 123 minutes a day we're looking, sometime in that 24 hour, they're going to look at it. But you want to make sure you catch them before they start in the day, so this way it can go anytime they want during the day, okay? Tuesday at noon in the afternoon, I typically like to have my posts between the 10 and the noon. And that's because most people get in at 8 o'clock. They find out what they got to do. The boss walks away at 10 o'clock. Maybe you got your break, and they're on the phone. Noontime, lunchtime, they're looking at their phone. They're going to hit Facebook first, typically. TikTok. I'm not a huge TikTok person, but they said for TikTok, and Facebook, 4 to 5 times a day. That's a lot. If you can, do it, but schedule it. When you're out that day, just schedule it. And they're brief things. They can be one motivational quote that you're just taking a scene that you have from your village hall or around town, and you just put a little quote on it. There's books that have millions of quotes. Just grab one off the Facebook with the person's name on it, stick it on there, shove it on Facebook. Motivational quote for people that's inspirational, things like that, okay? Make them quick, but they say 4 to 5 times a day. I personally think 2 to 3 should be good. We have TikTok. Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday they recommend for that, and those are short, 1 minute, 3 minute maximum, basically. And you could take part of a clip you have, or if you're going to do an interview, hey, we're sitting here with so-and-so, what do you think what we're doing? Just really quick. Okay, Twitter, do your tweets, Monday through Friday, on Saturday, 9 a.m. 3 to 4 times a day, but they start at 9 a.m. Instagram, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday are the best thing for Instagram. I think, in my opinion, maybe those are just for older people, the Instagram. And I mean older, 40 and up, sorry. Okay? Any questions on that? But you can find all that information on Sprout Social. Now, use appropriate, we got a couple minutes, and this will be the last slide, really. Use appropriate hashtags. I didn't used to use hashtags until recently. I'm also a minister. I just started a post on social media, Divorced Women in Christ, and I did a couple hashtags, and I also wind up sharing with other similar people. Like he said, find other people who corroborate, so follow people, not actually stalking people, but yes, see what other sites are doing. So I post some of my things on other groups that I'm on. I wind up gaining almost 550 followers in under 3 weeks. I was like, wow. Just from one of the posts I had, I did a show on divorce. I took a nice clip that made us look laughing, happy about it. It was actually on marriage, not divorce. And I put it on there, and a couple of my group sites, and they shared it and shared it and shared it. And I had almost 550 in 3 weeks that are actually following me. And it's still growing. So make sure you also cooperate with other people that are similar to you. Other stations, other people in town. Now, lastly, this is my last thing. It has nothing to do with the social media simply, but your towns possibly have billboards at the village hall. Use them. I am a resident, and I use them. I hosted a writers group. I said, I want my information posted on that. I'm part of the village. They posted my program there. I had people just off the street driving, saw it, came in. Use those billboards. They're there. Put on there. Follow our channel. Follow us on YouTube. Put that on there. Your village has letters and libraries have letters. Make sure every month in those monthly letters, the information of your station is in those letters to remind people, hey, you want to learn more about the village meeting, what's going on? Watch us on this channel. Like us on Facebook. You won't miss any of the meetings. Make sure it's in those newsletters because they're valuable and they're free because the village pays for them. If you can post a flyer at the village for them to pass out when people go get the water bill, like us on Facebook, do that. These are all simple things, okay? And make sure the employees also follow you on their pages and make sure they get their families to follow because that's their job with the village. They want to keep getting paid. They should support your station because it's part of their community and part of their jobs. So if any of the employees are not following their own TV station, that's a problem right there. Any questions? Okay, thanks.